Hey, there it is. We're back. Hello.
What up?
Hello. What's up, sir? Welcome, everybody. It is the Brisco and Big Ace show. Took a little breather. Things got busy, but we had to come back before the 4th of July. Get a show out there because there's some really exciting things coming up.
I mean, we always have to always start out with a bang, right?
True. Very true. We're weeks away from Hall of Fame weekend, where we'll be in the same room together for the first time since Halloween Horror Nights. So I'm excited for that. We're also going to get the chance to hang out with our guest. We got a guest on tonight. We're going to get him on here. Boom! There he is, guys. The nicest
Oh,
man in wrestling. IPW, just legend, training kids at the vault now. So if you want to be a wrestler, here's a guy to show you how it's done. Just a monster of the Midwest. And again, one of the nicest guys in wrestling. I will forever die on that one. Mr. James Jeffries, welcome to the show, brother.
hey guys, thank you for the kind words. I really appreciate it. How you guys doing?
We're doing good, man. It's kind of crazy me getting to interview you right now because of the history we have. I've literally seen you start from literally day one, and now you've worked your way all the way up to being a coach. Like I've seen you from learning how to bump to now being a ring general, and it's just one of the coolest things I've ever seen is. And not only that is that you give wrestling a great positive feeling. You give wrestling a you teach people the right way because you've had people like me and a lot of other people help you out, and I'm just very proud of you, and I'm your success. Like you're truly, you're a great father, you're a great husband, you're a great man, you're a great coach, you're a great human being, and we're so blessed to have you on the show. And it's so cool for me because I've seen you grow, and that's like the whole thing me and Ace were talking about is like I've literally seen you grow as a little kid to become this great man that you are now.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate the kind words, Wes, and the feelings mutual from me. I always appreciated how much you and your father Jerry Brisco did for me over the years. You know, with the different evaluations and different advice backstage. You know, before matches. I know we've had you up to the vault, the Impact Pro Wrestling School a couple times, which you're welcome anytime, man. And yeah, I had a lot of really good wrestlers and really good people look out for me. Yourself, your dad, Jerry Brisco, Travis Shillington, T.S. Aggressor, and Troy Peterson. I don't know. I feel very blessed. So it's wrestling's afforded me a lot of love, a lot of friends, and a lot of family. So I'm
Yeah, it's crazy because I've actually wrestled with you.
yep.
I've tagged with you. We pretty much have done pretty like we've experienced a lot of different ring times, and it was cool every time that I got in the ring with you because at first I got in the ring with you to help you learn.
Yep.
And then we got to tag, and then I tried to teach you the other aspect of being entertaining. Because when at first when me and you were wrestling each other, it was all about learning how to sell. Calm down. It's okay. We don't have to rush nothing. Like just listen. And you did a very good job of that. And you grew. And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, me and you are tagging. And then I'm telling you, hey, do this you know and then now you grew into your own character where you have your own person. You're flashy, you're entertaining, you have charisma. And that was all. It was so cool to see you progress because at first you didn't have the charisma, you didn't have the confidence, but as you grew and as you worked harder and harder, and as you had people like me and other people back you up and say, hey, you got this. And then seeing you, invest in yourself, invest in your gear, becoming, trying to be the best wrestler possible. It's very awesome to see how far you have came, and like it's a lesson for every wrestler, young wrestler out there to like take a history out of his book because he really has made something. Like James is a bad motherfucker. I only we're allowed one. We're each allowed one F on this show, but I'm gonna use it right there. But man, I'm very proud of you.
Thank you, man. It means a lot to me, Wes. And the times we've got in the ring, I've really enjoyed them. And some of the times outside the ring too. I mean, I was thinking 2015, after the Hall of Fame show. I remember we hung out, and you hung around all the boys, and it's like
That's
it
not
was
the
great.
night that I was on top of a table with a sombrero on my
No,
hat, was it?
no.
Oh, so you're talking about another time? Oh my
Yeah, it was just
I
one of the
still have
times.
those pictures though.
No,
Still have those pictures.
this was nothing like that, but this was just after the show. Like, hey, we all were hanging out in the back, and you were just chopping it up with us, and it's really cool. Like a lot of the places you've been and a lot of the people you've helped. It was really cool to get to spend some time with you, and then a couple summers we did some traveling together too when you
The
came up to
farm
the.
shows.
Yes, yes. So, and one thing that was cool too, Ace, was it was me, Wes, and Nicole going to some different shows. And Wes was like, "Hey, I'll just take care of everything, gas, food, whatever." I mean, he was just very accommodating. He doesn't have to do that, but he's just a good human being, and he really looks out for his friends and fellow wrestlers. So I just want you to know, Wes, how much I appreciate you and appreciates all you've done for me. And you've talked about too, like a lot of the character stuff and growing into really believing that you're a wrestler. That's something Wes is fantastic at, because a lot of these fair shows, I mean, before you even get in the ring to wrestle your match, you're into what you're doing. And when the bell rings, you're feeling it and you're like, hey, I got to get the people. I want to get the people. I want to fight for them. And I feel every time you go out there that you're wanting to show people how much you love wrestling and inspire somebody else to be a wrestler. So I
Well, that's
think
what
the world of
that's
you, man.
oh, I appreciate it. That's why a lot of the times during those fair shows, farm shows,
Yeah.
Yeah, you call yeah.
Troy's gonna hate me for this. Farm shows, Troy.
Every
That
time I'm always like, no, it's fair. No, it's farm.
I say we're all calling in the ring. I won't go over nothing. We're calling it all out there because that's the best opportunity to learn how to work, to learn how to work the crowd, to learn how to get the like because you're wrestling in front of a tough crowd. Not only you're outdoors, you've been sweating, you're changing who knows where, you're hot, you're sweaty, and people go out there and do high spots and no one claps. But you go out there with the match with me, and I won't call nothing, and I'll have the whole crowd cheering either my name or your name, whoever I want it to be, because I'm the dictator, I'm the puppet master. And that's something that I was trying to teach all the boys at those shows is don't call all these matches in the back. Yeah, maybe come up with a finish or something like that, but go out there and listen to the crowd. See how the crowd reacts to what you're doing. If they don't like what you're doing, you can always switch it up. I'm not saying work for the crowd, but I'm saying feel out what your crowd is because every crowd is different. Every town is different. Every country is different. Every city's different. Every state's different.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, like, especially the new guys coming in, which we all were new at one point coming in. That's so hard to learn right off the bat. You just got to get out there and get reps doing those things. But
Well, I
you
got
gotta,
forced to do it. I got
yeah,
forced to. I'm like you guys, young bucks that go over your matches for 5 hours. I got forced as sometimes at FCW they wouldn't even tell us who our referee is, our opponent, they would just call a name, say go, go, go. The ref will tell you the finish at the end.
That's
Yeah.
great. That's great because it teaches us to work on the fly, to improv, to feel it, to and I think that's where a lot of the good stuff comes from is when
Well,
hey, you're feeling it. It's
yeah,
not the plan, you know.
and that's when you can tell great wrestlers. That's when you can tell wrestlers that can get the crowd and tell the other person, "Hey, don't do the spot right now. We're getting so much like just let it soak. Let like like The Rock and Randy Orton and Stone Cold and Triple H, those guys that can instantly, like, maybe they had other moves plans, but they'll tell you don't do nothing because there's just such an uproar, and then you go into a different spot because the you have the crowd at a certain point. And that was the cool thing about all those farm shows and teaching you guys of trying to be able to just learn how to work the people that you're around,
Yeah.
because that's what real wrestling's about. Real wrestling is not about what you can flip or do or whatever, all that. Real wrestling is making people super happy and making them want to buy a ticket or your shirt or your poster and come see you again.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. You know, you just I think that's the biggest thing is hey, um I just hope that somebody you influence somebody as another wrestler. Maybe you inspire some kid that's watching you at a farm show to be a wrestler someday.
I
Well,
can,
Because
I,
that's your job, James. Now
oh, and
that's your job, buddy.
I can assure you, James, getting to work with a lot of the fresh young talent the last 2 summers, well, last summer and currently this summer, with the Iowa talent, and a lot of them coming from your school, you're doing a wonderful job. You can see the imprint you've made on them, and then anytime your name is brought up in any locker room when you're not there, the amount of respect and just love that everyone will show when your name is said is a great example of what you guys have to offer at the vault. What you're doing over there with these students. Again, I'm been ring announcing for Madhouse and Absolute. We've been lucky to have you on both of those shows and had a blast. In fact, you were the very, very first introduction I made as a ring announcer at our very first Madhouse show, and you were the very first introduction we had. You were the first one out the gate that kicked off this whole road that is Madhouse Wrestling that we're all enjoying right now.
that was so cool because Malice came and asked me. He's like, "Hey, the only good guy going out first is James," and I'm like, "Oh goodness." I'm like, "Mike, if you hear crickets, I am very sorry." So, um, but they gave me a lot of love. So that makes me feel good that people say that in the locker rooms about me. So I just tried to be honest with everybody, and I've tried to help when I can or help people that want it. And a lot of people helped me. Travis, the TS aggressor who trained me, is still helping at the vault 26 years later after he opened the school. And then Justin Deason, I want to mention him too because he helps on our Sunday classes. We do Saturdays with me and Sundays with Justin. Um, After you finish with me on Saturdays, you move to Justin, and he kind of helps fine tune some different things or anywhere that you need help. So I just want to mention uh, his name because he did a lot for me when I started. I feel like Justin, and then there was another guy named David Dirks that wrestled as a Supercedo kid. I feel like I was their tackling dummies when I first started, but I was so happy to be the tackling dummy because they taught me so many different things,
Well,
and
James, when I was starting out, I was Heath Slater and Joe Henning, and the Usos pick on me all day long.
there
But
you go.
they loved me, and they saw the talent, and they saw that I had something, so they would always mess with me.
Yeah,
Like one, we told this story once on the podcast. Me and Heath were tagging. and I was tagging against Joe Henning, and I don't know who his partner was. So we plan out the match normal, like every other wrestler does. And, I'm not supposed to start. He's supposed to start, shine up, whatever, tag in. I run a little spot to get the heat on me. All of a sudden, I turn around, the bell rings, he turns around and tags me in. I like looked at him, I was like, what are we doing? We didn't talk about this. He gets out of the ring and then jumps onto the floor. So I can't like tag. And then I see Joe Henning smiling, going like this. And I'm like, holy shit. What did I just get myself into? And I'm like looking at Heath and he's laughing and he's on the floor. So I can't, it's not like I can tag out. And the match just started and we're in front of a crowd too. So it's like, it's a live show. Like, I'm like, all right, this is not what we planned, but so like,
Just go with it.
yeah, but like, we all get put in those positions, and those positions are great positions to be put in because that's what teaches you how to learn and teaches you how to relax and deal with being under pressure in front of a crowd. That's why I always like, I'm never nervous. I'm always, if I'm nervous, it's because I just want to put on a good show. It's not nervous because I'm not confident of what I'm gonna do
Yeah.
or what I'm capable of. It's just that I'm want to make sure that I execute everything that I do properly.
Yeah. Yeah. And you want to leave it all out there too, because I suppose if you feel like you haven't left it all out there, you felt like you've been cheating your opponent or cheating the fans, you know?
So James, what's been some of your best matches? What's been some of your highlights, and what do you think has really helped you get to where you're at right now to become, a really great coach, and then to a main eventer? You've held the title, you've done so many things, and you're such a well-known name in Iowa. Like how did you get there, and what steps did you take, and like how did you get there?
So for me, like when I first started, I had a lot of really talented veterans to work with. AJ Smooth and Matty Starr and Justin Decent, Wes Brisco. I mean, um, who else? TS Aggressor, Johnny Fitness. A lot of those guys were really good with me very on. Um, some of my favorite matches, I enjoyed both tag matches we were in, Wes. The one at the Hall of Fame and then the one in Des Moines, Iowa.
Yeah, that was a really good
That
one.
one was a blast. And um the steel cage match I had with Justin Decent in 2016, um it was me with JJ Dillon as my manager against Justin Decent and Jason Prentice. Uh,
Wow.
that's probably the biggest match that I ever had in my career. Because you probably remember this, Wes. Myself and JJ Dillon went out and did a promo, and then JJ Dillon or Jake Durden came out and interrupted it. And that's who
Hmm.
you were wrestling that night. And I remember you came out and saved us both. But I can just remember when you came out and made the save, all three of us were so pumped for our matches that night that I'm like, okay, let's get it and let's get after it. So that Hall of Fame of 2016 was very cool for me. Um, I had a few matches at the evaluation with your dad, Jerry Brisco, one with Matty Starr, one with Austin Aries, that were really memorable. And that were very good for me. That both those guys are really talented. And then another one that comes to mind was Johnny Fitness. And going back, so Johnny Fitness was kind of the assistant coach to Travis at the Vault when I started. And going back to the improv part and being comfortable and slowing down in the ring,
Mm-hmm.
I can remember coming into that match, Wes and Ace, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, I gotta, I got this idea for this part. I got this idea for that part. And Johnny Fitness, if you've never seen him wrestle, um, look him up because he was fantastic of feeding off the people, knowing when to pick it up, when to slow it down. And I really learned in the one match that I had with him that you really listen to the people, you know, and you need to really, because I was a heel in that match. Johnny Fitness was babyface. So when those people were coming up, Johnny Fitness was fighting back, and I'm telling you, he was bringing it. But um, that's that's one of the matches, and those are some of the matches that really stick out in my mind. Yeah, I just wrestled a lot of really talented wrestlers that were far better than me, and they made me look good, and they taught me, talked me through a lot of things.
But
So
do you think a lot of that is because you actually listen to us? Because I feel like I get a lot of opportunity to wrestle a lot of different people, and sometimes they don't want to listen to what I'm like
you're trying to
trying
teach.
to trying to paint a picture that maybe they don't see, that they're more worried about, can I get this moving and this moving, instead of painting a picture of like, who's our crowd, what are we doing, what did the people wrestle before us do. Like, for me as a veteran, that's what I look for, other than, oh, what spots to do. I'm like, what did everyone do before us? What's the crowd like? How do I excel and become better? And I feel like you were a great person because you always actually listen. Because there's been a lot of times where I've given my advice and people blow the other way, and that's why a lot of people say, "Oh, Wes doesn't like." I'm like, no, I do help people out. I help people that want to listen,
Yeah,
because a lot of people will want to ask you something, but when you actually tell them, they don't want to apply what you teach them. And you've really applied what my dad, me, JJ Dillon, Travis, Troy, AJ Smooth, all those people, you've really, Matty Starr, you've really became who you are because you actually listened and you were like, hey, these guys are not taking advantage of me. They're just trying to show me, like, hey, like, okay, that move didn't deserve to be there right at that point.
yeah, yeah. That's what I've tried to do, Wes. Is I've tried to listen, and I'm glad it's came off that way too, because like being in there with you, and like James Beard's another one. Him refing a few uh matches that I was in, and there were a few times where it was like James Beard, um, Niles Plonk, and a couple other guys, but they have more. They got more experience, so it's like, hey, I want to learn from you. I mean,
You
because
want to learn how to count one, two, three?
well, no, no, I'm just saying the three count's a good sign, but yeah, I've always wanted to. I just don't think you ever learn the wrestling business in full.
Yeah.
I think you keep learning as time goes on. So,
Always.
but you have
Always.
to be willing to learn too. I mean, which like you, Wes, I mean, you've been around so many talented wrestlers in so many different locker rooms and been around so many talented, trainers.
Yeah, but
So
you
why
also got to remember, when I was at FCW, WWE, we set up the ring, we put up the chairs,
yeah,
we hand out flyers, we did parking, we did security, we checked tickets, we did everything. It didn't matter if you're 7 foot tall, you could be out in the parking lot guiding cars.
yep,
We did street team where we'd have to go to another city and a week before and go do flyers. Me and Wade Barrett did, I forgot what city, Apaka. Me and Wade Barrett. It was me and him on like a Wednesday. Like we had to go and hang up posters all day. Like, it's good to learn the business from start to finish. Like I literally have done everything from set up the ring, from put up chairs to hang up posters to what parking to security to whatever you could ever think of. I've done. And WWE makes you do that. Well, I don't know if they make the talent anymore do that. But when I
Yeah,
was there, what do they do? Do they make the NXT talent do that or no?
I don't think so. You know what? They might do the ring setup and tear down over there. I don't think they're promoting anything though, just because of they're on TV now, so it's a little too big of
Yeah.
a risk.
I'm not sure.
But
I'm sure
but
there's
sure, I mean, imagine no, it's not. Imagine having to set up all the chairs and the ring.
Yeah.
Babyface is set up, heels tear down.
Yeah.
That was WWE's protocol.
Yeah.
Babyface is set up the building, and then heels tail down because that way the baby faces can go to the crowd and shake hands and and the heels take everything out.
Yep. They're just always teaching, and they're teaching you good lessons and things. Learn everything you can about the business. You know,
Mhm.
So, what's your favorite thing about teaching now? Now that you've gotten into this a little bit, you've got graduates under your belt there. And again, and I mean, I've seen some of the talent. I've worked with some of the talent, and they're amazing. There's some really amazing talent coming out of the vault in Iowa right now.
thank you. My favorite thing about teaching is watching the guys and gals go out and perform and live their dream. And I feel a part of their story. So it's almost like you get to relive it again. All the bumping, all the running the ropes, all the selling tickets, all that stuff. Yeah, all the stuff the grueling stuff. But that's the best part is when you see the finished product, and hopefully that going through class they've learned something from me. I hope. And I just wanted to. The best part is giving back, like so many people gave to me. So many people taught me the wrestling business and continue to teach me the wrestling business. So um, that's the most rewarding part is watching the guys and gals go out there and when it's game night and Saturday night to get after it. So
So how does someone in that area get a hold of you to want to join a class and become a student?
So you can contact the Vault, the Impact Pro Wrestling Training Facility on Facebook, or you can reach out to me through Facebook. Um, you can also call me too. Can I give out my number on this thing?
If it's
I
your
won't.
personal number, don't.
Okay.
Yeah, I
I'd
don't think
say,
I will.
I'd
We
say,
will put a link to the Facebook page in the description of this video, guys. So make sure you click on that.
yeah. So you can either contact the Vault or contact me. And, you know, we'd love to have anybody who wants to wrestle. So I just
And
started a
so, and then a little bit about your training. So, you pretty much you can take any talent from someone, let's say, that is a beginner, and then you could probably take someone that's intermediate, about to get to that pro, but needs a little bit of help to get to that next level. Are
yes.
you able to? You guys are able to do all that, huh?
Yep, we are. We are. We could take people new or intermediate, Yeah, just I mean, obviously if you have some experience, you got a little bit of a leg up, but yes, new or had some experience, we'll take you. So
Who's
just contact us.
Is there
So
anybody we should be looking out for, James? Anybody on the rise that's coming out of there that we should be watching those names?
that's coming out of here. These guys came out a couple years ago, but Bryce Jordan's a good
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
The
No.
Hale twins are good.
Oh yeah.
Gable Galileo's another good one. Ethan Everhart's good. Um, in the last few classes, there's a couple kids. Jordan Bolin, he wrestles as goodness, his wrestle name escapes me, but Jordan Bolin is one of them. And then there's another guy, Ryan Hadley. They've just had a few matches, but I think give them some time and they'll do just fine for themselves. So
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, so some of those talent people you just mentioned are having some real big years right now. So, yeah, definitely check all those names out. Now,
And you know what the worst part is, Ace? Can I just say what the worst part
yeah,
is that as I've gotten some more students, which I'm very thankful for, I try to watch all their matches, but I'll miss one or two. And that makes me feel terrible.
right.
Because sometimes they'll ask me, hey, what'd you think? And I'll be like, I missed it this time. I'll get the next one. But that's the worst part is missing them perform. So
I hear you, bud.
sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good. All right. There we go. All right. I just pulling something up. So now what I was gonna segue to real quick here is, you know, you guys have mentioned it a few times throughout this podcast already so far, and it's coming up. We mentioned it at the top show. It's only a few weeks away. And what I'm most excited about is it's going to be a weekend and a chance for the three of us plus many other of our friends to all be in the same room, same town, same weekend, and getting to catch up and hang out. Because to me, that's what this weekend's turned into. I love the Lou Thesz George Tragos Hall of Fame weekend and everything that it stands for, but it's very much become I get to see all my friends, and I'm very excited for it. But let's segue over that because James, you have a big part in this. You have for many years, but as each year has gone on, you've taken more on. You're an integral part down there with Troy on this, and just a big supporter of the National Wrestling Museum. So why don't you let us know kind of what the Hall of Fame weekend means for you, and then we'll pop that graphic up and show you guys everything that's going on.
So Hall of Fame weekend means to me is, you guys just mentioned it. It's a family reunion and a lot of reunion of good friends. And so it means something there. It's a great time to catch up. It also means too, I think to me, that the National Wrestling Hall of Fame is constantly giving back to those in need through the sport of wrestling. And I just think it's the greatest organization, and it's with something we love, wrestling, both amateur and pro. It ties both sports, both branches of the sports together. So, if you're an amateur fan, if you're a pro fan, it's got to definitely be on your bucket list, because it's a special place. I met Wes Brisco there for the first time, and Jerry Brisco, and you too, Big Ace. There's just
Well, I met Big Ace.
yeah,
I think we all met at Hall of Fame weekend.
yes, but and you guys know this too. It's just I think it's the best kept secret that slowly keeps getting bigger every year. And I just hope it keeps growing and growing, because I think what it does for the sport of amateur wrestling and families not just involved with the sport of wrestling, but just in general, it's just always raising money to help people in need. So I can't say enough good about it.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the best experiences for fans to come because it's such a small town and everyone's so close and everyone gets to actually hang out with everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, you do. And, you make a lot of friends, and there's a lot of people. It's like, oh my gosh, there's Stan Hansen talking to Ted DiBiase, and they're talking to JBL and Jerry Brisco. It's like, where are you going to see that? Well, you'll see it in Waterloo.
This is
you know,
true. This is
Well,
and
true.
and I mean,
you might even see me in a sombrero.
yeah. I was going to kayfabe the sombrero, but that was a fun time.
One of these days, those pictures will come out.
But it's just all fun. We all get to hang out, and
Yeah,
we all live so far away from each other. It's nice to get together and see how everybody's doing. So
that's right. And I'm gonna put the graphic up right there, guys. Again, July 20th through the 22nd. So again, we're weeks away. Look at the lineup here, guys.
Haku.
You got JJ Dillon, Jerry Brisco, Joe Malenko, Wes Brisco,
yeah,
Colt Cabana, Marty Jannetty, Jim Nord, Jim Miller, Tom Burke, Rock Riddle, who's always entertaining.
Yeah, that guy always has something to say.
What do we got? Bob Roop, we got Demolition, Jimmy Valiant, Dan Gable, Devon Dudley, Sin Bodie, Tommy Rich, JBL,
You can tell
Conrad Thompson.
you want to hear a funny story about Sin Bodhi?
Yeah.
Let's
He
do it.
was one of my first matches.
Oh, really?
Yep. He was one of my first matches. And I remember he tried to put his finger in my butt. I
Oh,
don't know if you can say this on YouTube or not, but yeah.
I'm sure they'll censor it out. You know.
So you're excited for that, right? Yeah, whatever.
No, I ended up winning the match. I pinned him right afterwards.
Nice. I'm guessing he was just trying to make you laugh.
I was like, you just done mess with the wrong person.
Yeah.
Oh my
Because
goodness.
you'll tie him in a pretzel, Wes.
Yeah, right.
No, I just put him in half Nelson and just pinned him. I was just like, this is over with.
Yeah.
I was like, you, and then he was like, what happened? I was just goofing around. I was like, I don't play that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a no goof zone.
But yeah, he was actually my one of my first matches in FCW.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
you remember
I believe it was at the Strawberry Festival.
Oh my gosh.
Nice. You remember some of your other first matches, Wes? Like besides Sin Bodhi?
Oh yeah, I remember a lot of them. I definitely do because I got my ass kicked. What do you want to know? I'll tell you anything you want to know.
Who are some of the guys that you like other than Sin that you wrestled like second, third match or you know?
I remember one time me and Bo Rotundo went out there and Dr. Tom Pritchard, and we barely had. This was like my second match, and it was actually in front of a lot of people. And we looked at each other and we're like, I don't know if we're ready for it. And Dr. Thomas goes, well, just amateur wrestle if you guys forget everything. And we're like, all right. Like, because we're both amateur wrestlers. We were like, all right, well.
Yeah.
And then it was the worst match ever. And then another one was the Usos. Heath Slater. Drew McIntyre,
nice.
Sheamus.
Fella.
I mean,
who'd you tag with against the Usos?
I don't even remember. It was the Usos tryout match.
Really?
Yeah. It was the Usos tryout match. And they whooped our ass.
Did you ever watch the FCW documentary they had on Peacock, Wes?
No.
He didn't watch it, but we talked about it on here.
Okay, so did you tell him that Dr. Tom had some nice things to say about him?
We actually, I think, had Dr. Tom on a month after that documentary came out.
Yeah.
So we actually had Dr. Tom on here to talk about it with Wes.
Yeah, I thought it was cool because he mentioned your name and he said, "Hey, Wes Brisco, having him around was great." So that kind of summed it up in a nutshell. And it's like, hey, Wes Brisco at Impact Pro Wrestling and every wrestling show I've been on has been great too. So
I appreciate it.
It's universal through a lot of locker rooms, Wes. A lot of people love you. So
I appreciate it. I really, really, really do.
Yeah, they did. I told him right away when I watched it. I sent him a message. I'm like, hey, you're going to be happy to know, like, they made you look really good in this FCW doc.
I was like, oh, they'll probably bury me.
No, instead they cut from you to Steamboat's kid, and they buried him.
Yeah, and I tell you what,
to me.
I remember meeting Steamboat's kid. This is when Harley Race was still doing the Hall of Fame, but he was so nice.
Oh, Ricky, yeah, he's a good kid, and he has a family now. I'm very happy for Richie. He's doing great. His wife's an attorney. He's a stay-at-home dad. He has some beautiful children. He's doing really well for himself, so he's very happy.
Good. I kind of always wondered what happened to him because I think he had just had a couple matches, but I mean, he was a fantastic,
Yeah,
second
he hurt his
generation.
back. He hurt his back, and then there are some other issues. But we don't talk about. We only talk about positive stuff on the show. So
Yeah, he was a
everything was
superstar.
all good. He was awesome wrestler. He just had some back issues, and had to go. And then he found a beautiful woman that's an attorney and has a beautiful family, and living a great life. And God bless him and his family and all that.
Yeah,
Nice,
yeah,
nice.
super guy.
We're gonna flash this up here one more time, guys. All access passes, $130. Is that? Am I right on that? That's still the deal.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
so.
includes
Oh,
2
yeah.
meals, live wrestling show, all the events listed. You've got an Art of Wrestling podcast with Colt Cabana. You got the podcast collective. You've got some roundtables. You're going to also get the banquet on Saturday night. Beautiful dinner, some nice speeches, all that. You can order tickets by phone call 319-233-0745.
Whoa, 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 whoa,
He's got it
whoa, whoa,
posted on
whoa,
the
whoa.
poster.
Hold on, pump the
Oh,
brakes. You forgot the main podcast that's gonna be happening at that show.
I was going to leave that for the last thing we said, but yes. Also, Wes and I will be doing a live podcast. I believe Saturday morning at the museum. I don't quite remember the exact time, but we will be doing a live show for a live audience. So if you're there, if you come, you will get to come and check that out. We were talking right before we went on here of who might be a guest. Hmm.
Well, you
Oh,
got
oh, 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 oh. Go ahead.
I tell you,
you got the thing.
nice.
So, and we'll announce that as we get closer to in the upcoming weeks here to make it official. But yeah, you don't want to miss out. We're gonna have fun. It's gonna
And,
be a good time.
and I think for anybody watching too, like I was part of one of your guys' live podcasts at the
Very
museum.
first live podcast that we did.
Yes, with Thunderbolt Patterson and Beth Phoenix and Sergeant Slaughter, Wes, Jerry Brisco. And I'm sitting here on the end and I'm like, oh goodness. I
I felt the same way.
I do not belong in this row, but that was one of the highlights for me was I was like, it was excellent, that live podcast you guys did. So
Yeah,
definitely,
that shaved a couple years off my life. I was so stressed out.
That was
well, you did it,
I laid underneath the table and told Ace, leave me alone.
but you did good
You
with it.
remember that? You remember that? I laid
yeah,
underneath the
yeah,
table. I was
yeah,
like, I'm so stressed out right now. Just leave me alone. I need 5 minutes.
yeah.
Well, you guys knocked it out of the park. So, I mean, anybody who's listening, it's definitely the live podcasts are awesome that these guys do. So,
Yeah, and this year, once we confirm, it's gonna be a lot of fun. You're gonna get a
yeah,
lot of good stories. So don't miss it, guys. July 20th through the 22nd, Waterloo, Iowa. Email the DGM staff at nwhof.org. There's a little scanned QR. I don't know if you can pause this and zoom in on it. Maybe you get it that way. But again, it's going to be great. Thursday night trivia before everything really gets going. And then Friday, we got the show and we got some. I think that's when Wes or our Colt will be doing his show. Saturday, we're doing our live show plus some cool roundtables and meet and greets. And it's just an amazing weekend with amazing wrestling talent, fans, and just really good people. So get your tickets, all that good stuff, because we're going to be there. You should be there. James, how can people find you?
you can find me on Twitter at the real J Double. You can find me on Facebook, James Jeffries, and James Jeffries on Instagram.
And we'll also be, when we put this out, we'll also have the links to all of that. So if you guys want training or any info, we'll have links, and you just pretty much just click on it and it'll take you right to his account or the Impact or the school. So we got you guys, and we appreciate you, James, so much.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you, Big Ace. Wes, I love you. Thanks for everything that you've done for me in wrestling and what you continue to do for me. And if your dad's watching, I love him too very much. He has been a huge supporter of mine and been he's just been great to me over the years. So got nothing but love for the Brisco family. So much respect to you guys, and I'll see you soon. Looking forward to July. I'm counting the sleeps, or the little bit of sleep I'm getting with my son here at home. We're still working on the whole sleep thing, but soon we'll be together and it'll all be sweet.
I can't wait. It's going to be great. So we'll be back with another episode next week, guys. We will see you then. Again, buy your Hall of Fame tickets. Subscribe, share it with everybody. The Brisco Big Ace YouTube channel, as well as on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. Find us. Love us. We love all of you. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, guys.